Hey, welcome back, everyone. We all know those people who seem to have their next chapter already dialed in, or at least they've got today dialed in. They definitely aren't loud about it. They're not waving their hands saying, "Look at me." But when things start shifting, contract negotiations come up, promotional boards are in session. They don't stress. They don't seem panicked. They're more in control. It's like they built their runway while the rest of us were deciding if we're even going to take off. Bottom line, they've got their shit together. And I don't mean just their gear. But on top of that, you also realize you're not going to be doing this job forever. And the worst feeling in that moment, realizing you might not be ready to choose your next step. It's likely the next step might choose you. This is about control. It's about being able to say yes to what comes next because you built the freedom to make decisions. That kind of control, that doesn't come from a rank, doesn't come from your resume. It comes from something else completely different. So with that, let's get into round 82 of the tactical transition tips. This time the topic is square away your finances. For the close range group, those of you looking at your transition right away or you're less than a year out, know your benefits. Learn everything about your health benefits, your VA and disability benefits, and your pension now before you need them. For the medium range group, those of you looking at your transition in 5 years or so, eliminate debt and build credit. Debt limits your options, and poor credit can close the doors of opportunities. And for the long range group, those of you just starting your careers, you've got at least a decade before your transition. Sacrifice today for tomorrow money. Make as much money as you can today, so tomorrow you can work because you want to, not because you have to. Real quick, I feel like I need to give an advisement for this episode. Though the topic is about squaring away your finances, I'm not a financial advisor, and none of the information presented is specific to investments or financial advice. The information in this episode is general, and you could take it as you will. All right, let's get into it. Close range group. Calendar feels heavier. You're already probably running the mental math. And if you're like most of us, the uncertainty isn't just about what job you'll get. It's about whether you're even going to have solid ground to land on. But that solid ground, it starts with your benefits. Granted, not the most exciting transition topic, not the one people brag about on LinkedIn, but it's the stuff that makes the biggest difference when the uniform comes off. It's not just about collecting what you've earned. It's about understanding the system as well as you can. So let's start here. A lot of us assume there's going to be some final meeting where it all gets laid out. Someone from HR or the VA is going to come in and they're going to hand you a binder. They're going to break it down like it's a briefing. And all you have to do is sit back and sign. I hate to break it to you, but that's not how it works. You've got to own this part. You've got to drive the process. You're going to find that the system is not built for clarity. And when you're navigating benefits, you need to make sure you understand. So if you haven't already, schedule a meeting with your benefits advisor. Not your buddy who retired last year, not some social media group you're part of. Meet with someone who lives and breathes this stuff. Someone who knows what paperwork is needed, what deadlines are real, and how your service history matches up to what you're entitled to. For my military types, that means someone with the VA system. If you're a first responder, that's going to be your city or your county's HR or retirement person. Find out who it is and meet with them. But regardless who you are, you want someone to look at your transition timeline, your injuries, your service record, and offer you the correct information regarding your benefits. Because it's the little mistakes that hurt the most. You submit a claim too late. You're missing required forms. You're not documenting a medical issue because you didn't want to make a big deal of it. All that stuff piles up. And when you're out and relying on that benefit, you'll wish you'd handled it differently. And let's be honest, sometimes we avoid this stuff because it's overwhelming, or we think, I'm not broken, I can tough this out. Other people need this more than me. This isn't about toughness, it's about recognition. If your knees hurt every time you stand up, if your back seizes up randomly, if your sleep is trash from years of shift work or deployments, you're not asking for a handout, you're documenting reality. Start your disability claims process now. Even if you're not sure what the outcome will be, the process takes time. It's not overnight. There's documentation, evaluations, follow-up evaluations. Maybe there's appeals. Get ahead of it while you're still with your organization, because once you're out, it's a lot harder to get those things handled. And even if you're thinking, well, I'm not injured enough, or this doesn't qualify, let someone who's trained in the system make that determination. Don't self-disqualify. This episode is brought to you by Brothers in Arms USA. This veteran-owned brand delivers premium clothing and accessories that are 100% made in America. Every item reflects the values of service, discipline, respect, and honors those who have given everything. It's gear that's built for patriots, warriors, and anyone who stands for something. Go check out their website, spelled out fully, brothersandarms.com, and use the promo code TRANSITION20 for 20% off your purchase. Healthcare is another major area where people trip up. A lot of people assume they'll roll right into the next plan, but depending on where you're coming from, you might be looking at gaps in coverage, gaps in eligibility, gaps in understanding how your dependents are covered. Do you know how long your current benefits extend after separation? Do you know the cost of COBRA? Do you qualify for VA healthcare? Or do you need to get continued healthcare benefit program services? What happens if your next job doesn't offer insurance right away? Are you planning to go on your spouse's insurance? When is their enrollment period? All of these questions you need to factor in. If you don't know the answer to these questions, find them out now. Not next month, not when you're about to get out. Now. Call your benefits provider. Talk to your spouse. Develop a plan and write it down. Let's hit one more thing. Your retirement accounts. If you're military, that's your thrift savings plan or maybe BRS. If you're a first responder, it's PERS or your local pension. Regardless what it is, don't wait until your final week to figure out what happens to that money. What are your rollover options? What are the tax implications if you take a lump sum? Can you leave it where it is? Should you leave it where it is? Even if you're not planning to touch those funds right away, knowing your option is power. It gives you flexibility. Talk to a financial advisor if you need to. One conversation could save you thousands in taxes or penalties. But more than that, it gives you peace of mind. Now look, I know this isn't the glamorous part of transition, but this is the foundation. This is how you step into that next chapter with confidence instead of panic. Because when your benefits are squared away, your brain is free to focus on bigger things. Networking, applying for the right jobs, finding your new mission. But when they're not, you end up chasing your tail, panicked, reactive, and everything feels harder than it needs to be. So do the work now, schedule the appointments, start the claims, print the documents, make the calls. It's not busy work. It's your buffer. It's your leverage. And when that final day comes, whether it's a ceremony or a quiet walk out the door, you'll know you've already taken care of the things that most people ignore until it's too late. You've earned these benefits. Make sure they show up when you need them. Medium range group. You aren't sitting in the mandatory retirement briefings. You're not filling out claims or checking health insurance options. But 5 years? That's close. And if you blink, it'll be 2 and then 1. And then you're in the middle of it with less time and fewer options than you thought. Now, here's what makes this stage even more tricky. You're comfortable. You've got your groove. But it's also a dangerous place because comfort tends to kill momentum. And the area that it kills momentum fastest, your finances. See, at this stage, you're obviously making more money than you were earlier in your career. But here's the million-dollar question. What's that extra income doing for your future? Too many of us make the mistake of letting income justify a lifestyle. You move up in rank. Suddenly you've got a nicer car, better vacations, a higher grocery bill, a bigger house that, do you really need it? And yes, it all makes sense in the moment. You tell yourself, I've earned it. Yes, you have earned it. But the goal isn't just to enjoy right now. It's to prepare for the day when these jobs end and you still have freedom of choice. So let's dig into eliminating debt and building strong credit. Start by getting your full financial picture. I don't mean just logging into your bank app and checking your balance. I mean pulling your full credit reports, listing out every piece of debt, credit cards, auto loans, personal loans, medical bills, student loans, yours or your kids, everything. Write down the interest rates, write down the minimum payments. It's going to feel uncomfortable at first. You might see numbers you don't like. You might think, how did I let this get here? But let me tell you something. Leadership starts with honesty. And if you want to lead your life well, especially into transition, you've got to stop avoiding when it's time to look at the hard stuff. Then, once you've got the list, pick 1 or 2 of your debts and start knocking them down with purpose. It doesn't have to be all at once, but it does need to be consistent. And then when you're done with those, move on to the next. Again, I'm not a financial advisor, but imagine your life with less debt hanging over your head. Also, while you're paying off debt, build an emergency fund. You want to strike a balance. What happens if you put every extra dollar towards debt and your car breaks down or your kids get sick? You end up right back where you started, leaning on the credit cards you're just trying to pay down. An emergency fund shouldn't be optional. How much do you need to survive for a month? Make that your first goal. Then once you have 1 month, aim for 2. Hopefully you never need it. But if you do, you know you won't be sliding yourself backwards. Now, let's talk credit. If you plan to buy a house post-retirement, refinance, or apply for a civilian job where a background check is required, your credit score matters. Not because it defines your worth, but because it defines your leverage. Strong credit gives you options. And right now, while your income is stable and predictable, that's the perfect time to build that credit foundation. Start with the basics. Pay on time. Set reminders or set an auto pay. Don't open a bunch of new accounts. Transition means someone else is going to look at your paper trail, your credit, your resume, your past employment, and then decide how much of a risk you are. Your job now is to minimize the risk you present. And financially, that means getting organized, cleaning up your credit, and reducing debt wherever possible. This episode is brought to you by Trident Coffee. Trident are cold brew specialists. From their instant option that works on its own, or in your favorite protein shake. Already in a can that's easy to take on the go. But it's more than great coffee. Loaded with MCT oil, lion's mane, and electrolytes. It's functional fuel for your brain and your body. Veteran-owned and mission-driven. Trident crafts coffees that taste amazing, hot or cold, without the bitterness. Trident Coffee is where passion meets purpose. So cast off the lines and move full steam ahead. Your tribe is waiting. Go check out their website at tridentcoffee.com and use the promo code TDP15 for 15% off your purchase. Okay, let's get back into the episode. Now here's something else you might not have considered. go talk to a financial professional. Not necessarily because you're looking to invest in something, but because a good financial pro can act like a mission planner. They see what's ahead for you financially. They know the obstacles. They can help you figure out your pace, your checkpoints, and also a fallback position if something changes. You don't have to commit to anything long term. A 1-hour conversation might be enough, but that 1 hour could help you realign how you're using your current income to serve your future transition. It's not about the money, it's about the mindset. And speaking of mindset, watch out for lifestyle creep. You know how it goes. You're likely going to promote again. You'll start making more money, and you get used to buying better stuff. It doesn't happen overnight. It happens in increments. But before you know it, your spending has crept up to match your income. And then what happens? Your financial flexibility disappears. You can't say no to extra shifts. You can't take a lower paying civilian job that you might actually enjoy. You've locked yourself into a lifestyle that maybe even forces you to not get out. That's not freedom. That's a financial trap in a uniform. So here's a challenge. Live at your current pay rate until you transition. You want a bigger challenge? Go down one rank below where you are right now. Take that difference in pay and apply it towards debt, savings, or future investments. The last thing, tie your financial goals to your exit strategy. You plan to retire in 5 years? Break it down. How much debt do you want to have gone by then? What credit score do you want to have when you walk out the door? What kind of financial cushion do you want sitting in your bank account? Write it out. Reverse engineer the goal. 5 years isn't far, but it's long enough to change your entire trajectory. You start now. Long range group. Start habits that build wealth. You're early in your career. The idea of transition still feels miles away, like something for another version of you to figure out years down the road. You're busy proving yourself, and that takes effort. But just because you're in the beginning stages doesn't mean you get to sit this part out. If anything, this is exactly the time to pay attention. Because the truth is, real wealth isn't coming from these careers. And it's not something you stumble into. It's built over time through daily habits that compound in the background while the rest of your life keeps moving. So sacrifice today for tomorrow money. If you start building wealth now while you're still growing in this career, you'll have more control over your future than most people ever will. One of the most powerful things you can do in this phase of your life is shift the way you think about money. Not as something you hustle for or flex with, but as a tool that gives you time, a tool that gives you options, a tool that allows you to walk away from these careers because you're not trapped by a paycheck to paycheck survival. So here's where you start. Pay yourself first. I recently heard this. Wealthy people pay themselves first. Poor people pay their bills first. Let that sink in for a second. But what you want to do is automate your savings. If you're eligible for a retirement plan that you can put extra money into, contribute something, even if it's just 3 to 5%. Get used to not having it and work towards maxing it out. And over time, that amount grows. Compound interest is real. And when you're early in your career, time is your biggest ally. Another option is savings outside of retirement. Set up a separate savings account and have a small amount sent there every paycheck. Treat it like a bill. It's not optional. This becomes your buffer, your emergency fund, your first move towards financial independence. And as your income grows, increase your lifestyle while also increasing your savings rate. That's how you stay ahead of lifestyle creep, which has a sneaky way of turning promotions into paycheck traps. Now, here's something else. Understand credit before you need credit. You might not be buying a house tomorrow, but one day you will. Or maybe you'll want to refinance or qualify for a business loan or co-sign for something for your kids. Periodically check your credit score. Learn what affects it. Payment history, credit utilization, length of credit history, credit inquiries. Keep your balances low. Pay on time. Don't open up accounts you don't need. Strong credit is about leverage. It gives you better rates, smoother approvals, and more credibility when big decisions come up. And building it takes time, which you have a lot of right now. This episode is brought to you by Grind, spelt GRND. Grind isn't just a brand, it's a mindset. Started by a former Army Ranger, Grind Activewear is for those who wake up hungry, train with intensity, and chase their goals relentlessly. Whether you're on the field, in the gym, or grinding towards your next mission in life, Grind delivers performance gear that keeps up. This is American-made toughness with purpose. So wear what you live. Check out their website at thegrind, GRND, collective.com and use the promo code TRANSITION15 for 15% off your purchase. All right, let's head towards the finish line. Something else that you can do? Become a student of wealth. I'm not saying chase every financial YouTuber or jump into every investment group. I'm saying read books on personal finance and successful people. Listen to wealth building and investment advice. You do that for 10 years, you'll know more about personal finance than most of the people you work with. I know this might sound boring, but you have to make it interesting. I'm sure you'd read about your favorite sports team, but other than bar trivia, how can that make you wealthier? Also, knowledge creates confidence. Confidence makes you calm, and calm people make better decisions, especially when the pressure hits. Another idea worth thinking about? Create a secondary income stream outside of this job. Is there something you can build slowly on the side? I've got friends who got into real estate. I had a guest who took over an existing pressure washing business and grew it into a multi-million-dollar company with the U.S. Navy as a customer. You can go back and check out episode 81 with Manny Vega to hear his story. But this isn't about making millions right out of the gate. It's about building the muscle of earning outside the paycheck. So if one day you need to pivot, voluntarily or not, you've already started growing that skill set. Now, there's one more trap that's real easy to fall into at this stage. Don't try to match your peers' lifestyle. Everyone spends money on different toys, the newest truck, newest gear. That's fine for them. But here's what you've got to remember. You don't know what's behind that curtain. You don't know if they're 2 months away from maxing out a credit card or pulling an extra shift just to cover it all. And even if they can afford it, it doesn't mean you need to. Your strength right now is that you've got time on your side. So use that time to build a strong foundation, not chase appearances. One of the wish I would have listened stories from early in my career, I was new on the department. I don't even think I was a cop yet. I was talking with one of our old salts and he says, "Don't buy the new truck. Just wait. Go find the best house you can afford. Rent out the extra bedrooms to friends or other guys from the department. Basically let them cover the mortgage. Put your head down and save for 2 years. Then buy another house. Offer the same rooms to rent option to your friends and move them out of that house and rent the first one to a family and just keep going." I wish I would have followed his advice. I could have easily done that through my 20s and had 4 or 5 houses. I've seen more than a few people spend their 20s trying to look like they're in their 40s, then spend their 40s trying to undo all the damage. You don't have to catch up to anyone. What you need is to stay in your lane, stay disciplined, and build a system that gives you freedom when it counts. The new truck will still be there 5 years from now. So will the watch, so will the boat. But financial peace, that starts now with the consistent decisions no one sees. You're early. You've got time. But time alone doesn't build wealth. How you use it does. You don't need to have all the answers today, but you do need to start showing up for your future self. Just like you prep for a promotion, just like you take training seriously, your financial future deserves the same effort. If you treat money like an afterthought now, it becomes a burden later. But if you treat it like discipline now, it becomes your fuel for freedom later. So build the habits, track your money, learn the language, save before you spend, grow your credit, and learn from people who have already figured it out. Start slow, stay consistent, and when the day comes that you finally hang it up, you'll be choosing your next move on your terms, hopefully not having to work at all. You might not feel the urgency yet, but it's coming. A shift in your focus, a flicker of doubt, a sense that that road ahead might not be as clear or as steady as the one you're on now. That's your cue. Not to panic, not to retreat, but to tighten up what you can while you still have time and the control. Because when the dust settles and the uniform comes off, you won't just need a plan, you'll need freedom. And the first move towards that freedom is when you square away your finances. Thank you for taking the time to listen to or watch the episode. If you have any comments or questions, please reach out, either on social media or send me an email. All the links are in the show notes. I'd love to hear from you. Also, if you're not already, please follow the podcast on whatever platform you get your podcast. You can also subscribe on YouTube. And if you would, please leave a rating. The more ratings the podcast gets, the more the podcast gets recommended to more people. Another ask, please share the podcast with anyone you think could benefit from and enjoy it. And last, don't forget to sign up for the newsletter.